Hello everybody and welcome back to Hoffman Reproductions. Today we are on location here at Loudonville, Ohio, Wolf Creek Grist Mill. It is a restored 19th century grist mill, and on this site they have a 18th century trade fair and reenactment plan. They've been doing this for a couple of years now. We've set up several years in a row, and it's a beautiful location. We're supposed to have nice weather, so tune in and we'll take a walk around and show you the sights and sounds.
Alright, this is just one of many of the restored 19th century log cabins that is on this site, and really nicely done. We're checking out. This particular one is sort of the visitor center, and you can actually go in there and buy the flour that was ground in the grist mill that we just showed, so that's pretty neat. So over here on the right you can see half of the camp layout that stretches along the creek and goes back to the wood line, and then there's another set on the left side of the road, and our tent's way back on the left side in the field. And this is kind of the general layout. A lot of nice places to camp if you're interested in coming to this event next year. There's lots of places you can get in the trees so you don't have to roast out in the sun. It's flat, it's well kept, very park-like. Really nice place to set up. Alright, this is one of several artillery pieces that usually shows up for the trade fair and battle reenactment they have. The group that owns it maintains it very well, and it makes a whale of a loud bang. They put on a nice show with it, so we'll show more of that later on here in a little while. Alright, we're joined here by Roy. Roy is the owner and operator of Buckeye Horn Works, and he specializes in the manufacturing of 18th century powderhorns. Hello, Roy.
Hello.
So how long have you been involved in making powderhorns?
I've been doing powderhorns since 2006.
Okay. So what got you into that?
Well, being as I started in doing reenacting, I had to make a powderhorn for myself, and I enjoyed doing it so much that I decided, well, I think I will attempt making powderhorns and selling them.
Sure. Okay.
I do enjoy doing that.
So how long does one from start to finish typically take?
Typically about anywhere from, depending on how elaborate the horn is, anywhere from 10 hours to 40 hours, just depending on how elaborate.
Okay, just depends on how intricate they are.
Simpler
Okay.
horns, can be done in, 8-10 hours. And,
Okay.
And more elaborate ones, like I say, take 30-40 hours.
Wow. Okay. Well, great. Well, if you're in need of a powderhorn, come on out to Wolf Creek today, and Roy will fix you up. Thanks for talking with us, Roy.
Thanks.
So here we have some of Roy's finished horns, and you can't go any better. If you're looking for one that's authentic and very well done, you can't go any better than Roy. So he's just got some various ones here. Wow. That's not easy to do, folks, but Roy is good at it. Are any of the ones you have here, are they copies of anything particular, or just...
They are a mix of powderhorns, or that were originals. I do a mixture. I try to do authentic items on the horns, but they aren't necessarily exact copies.
Okay. Based on originals.
Yeah, based on original horns.
Nice. Very nice. Alright, once again, if you're in need of authentic quality made powderhorn, check Roy out at Buckeye Horn Works. So this is my humble setup when at a show. Got a single pole marquee and kind of my kitchen, living room all in one behind the curtain there, and my sleeping cot. And then I've got my display items out here in the front. And got my British sympathizing colors over there. We normally side with the British when at events. And this gets the job done for selling and also my stay through the weekend. Alright, so we have a French reenactment group here that is going to put on an artillery demonstration for us. we go. Whale of a boom. Doesn't really do it justice on camera, but that is a deafening noise that pretty impressive when you see it in person.
Alright, well today we are joined by friend and fellow reenactor Mr. Paul. Nice to have you with us today.
Nice to be here.
Paul, could you tell us and the folks at home, how long have you been involved in reenacting? 1 or 2 years?
Well, that's an interesting question. Did you ever play cops and robbers or cowboys and Indians when you were a kid?
Sure.
Isn't that a form of reenactment?
I suppose you could say it is. So it dates back that far for you.
So I've been doing this all my life.
So it's been present the whole time.
You know, I've been running around the woods playing Daniel Boone as soon as I was allowed in the woods.
I see. Okay.
But as far as organized reenacting, probably when the movie Jeremiah Johnson came out, that piqued a lot of people's interest in black powder shooting.
Sure.
So I got into black powder shooting, and then shortly after that, the bicentennial.
Along those lines, who are you portraying today?
Well, as I said, when I first got in the hobby, I did the military persona. But as I got older, it's hard to run around the field. I don't want to carry a musket anymore. So now I portray an upper middle class gentleman, a prosperous gentleman, obviously. I don't take on any particular name or try to interpret any character. To do that is very, very difficult.
Sure.
So I just portray a genetic or upper middle class gentleman. If someone really questions me, I tell them that I'm a land surveyor and a land speculator. And I am a retired land surveyor.
Okay, so that fits well.
It fits well there.
You know what you're
so
talking
I can
about.
carry on a pretty good conversation. And it's a great hobby. I mean, as anyone in the hobby quickly realizes, it's a cultural thing. It's a family thing. I mean, you meet so many great friends and
So, what would be your advice if somebody wanted to get into this? Where do you think they should turn if they want to? They're brand new to this and they want to get into it. What would be your advice?
Well, first off, don't be bashful. If you have an interest that you like to get into it, and you see someone that's doing something that you like, talk to them. Most reenactors are very open, they're very helpful, they'll give you information, they'll give you other people to talk to. So, don't jump into, don't take a lot on yourself, do a lot of preparation and jump into this thing.
Sure.
Talk to people, come into it slowly, because chances are whatever you do to prepare yourself is going to be wrong. So
Be sure you're right and then go ahead and work.
Well, exactly. Start easy and work your way up.
Well, wonderful. Thank you for coming on today. We appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it. And
absolutely. We're here at a little event at the mill at Wolf Creek, and I'm just here to stroll around and meet up with friends.
Put out the vibe.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
All right. Well, we're joined here today by friend and fellow reenactor Nate Moore. Good to be with you, Nate.
Thank you, sir.
And Nate has been involved in living history for a while and specializes in handcrafting shooting bags. So, Nate, how did you get into making shooting bags?
Basically, I bought my first muzzleloader in 2016, and that took all my money. So I had been dabbling in leather, bullets, knife sheaths, whatnot, and I thought, well, I can make a bag. Let's try it. So that's where I started, and that's kind of just progressed from there.
Snowballed from there.
Yes.
So on average, about how long does it take you to make one? Probably differs a little.
Yeah, depending on the size of the bag, double pouch, single pouch. I can usually do one in 2 to 3 weeks. Sometimes it might take a month if I get a bag that I really like. I like the way it's going, and I just can't decide how I want to finish it. I'll set it aside and start over, or start on another one and see where it goes, and hopefully something nice comes out of it.
Okay. So if somebody was wanting to get into making their own shooting bag, what would be your advice? Best way to get started?
Best way to get started, the internet's a wonderful place. Pinterest, Facebook, there's a lot of traditional American craftsmen. There's a lot of us that bag makers, pouch makers, knife makers, gun makers. We'll point you in the right direction what you need. The two books that helped me the most were T.C. Albert's recreating the, I can't think of it now.
18th century shooting.
18th century
I think I know the book you're talking about.
Has some patterns in it, has some examples of originals. So that's a good place to start. It goes over pattern making. Ken Scott, another maker, has a DVD out with patterns that has different, and he goes into how to make your patterns, how to do some dyeing, and a little bit further than that.
Cool. Okay. Now, do you put your bags up for sale or travel around to any shows?
I normally hit up a couple different shows a year depending on my work schedule. I have done the Contemporary Long Rifle Show in Kentucky. I do some smaller ones, Log Cabin Shop in Lodi. I just got back from a new one at Friendship, Indiana at the National Muzzleloading Rifle Association, their range. They have a small show. I do put stuff on my Facebook page and my personal page, or on my 357 leather page.
Great. Okay. Well, if you are interested in a high quality shooting bag, be sure to look Nate up. He'll fix you right up, and thank you.
Thank you, sir.
We appreciate you being on today.
Yep, no problem.
All right, so I am joined here today by friend and fellow reenactor Jack Johnson, and Jack has been involved in reenacting since the centennial, and Jack is incredibly well preserved.
Yes,
and the people at home want to know, Jack, what is your secret?
My wife.
Oh, okay.
Believe me.
Enough said. Enough said. No, but Jack has been at it for a while now. And Jack, what got you interested in living history?
Well, when I was a small boy, I always played with toy soldiers, and I loved the Civil War. That was my favorite era. But in middle of 1980, 85, 86, around that time period, I decided, this might be fun. And I, at that point, got into French and Interwar period. Now I've progressed into Revolutionary War. That's where I'll stay.
Snowballed from there. Okay.
Yep.
You're hanging on and enjoying the ride.
Barely hanging on, but I'm enjoying the ride.
So who do you normally portray? What kind of persona?
Normally I portray a upper middle or lower middle. No, I'm sorry. You can edit this. You're gonna have to edit it.
I guess they're gonna
upper middle class tavern owner. So I'm a businessman. Basically live in one of the eastern cities, Philadelphia, Boston, and so in that case I'm part of the militia, and I dress accordingly.
I see. Very good. Okay. So if somebody new to this, say they came to an event and they like what's going on and they wanted to get into it, what would be your best advice? What should they do?
Well, the first thing they need to determine, in my opinion, is what time period they want to portray. If you're going to portray Revolutionary War, you can use a firearm that would have been in existence in the French and Indian War because it possibly would still be around.
Sure.
But if you want to do War of 1812, you don't want to use a gun that's 70, 80, 90 years old when it was originally made, because that probably would not be in existence. So pick your time period. Once you do that, pick your persona, what you want to portray, whether it be long hunter, tavern owner, preacher, whatever. And once you determine those two things, that'll determine what clothing you need to purchase, and you go from there.
You go from there. Sounds good. All right. Well, thank you for tuning in with us today, and we'll look forward to more down the road.
All righty.
All right.
Thank you, Ben.
Well, we're joined here today by friend and fellow reenactor, Mr. Mark Corey. Mark, thank you for joining with us today.
You're welcome.
And to start off, could you tell us how long or what got you into reenacting, I guess?
Well, it was a long journey from the standpoint that as a child, my parents took my brothers and I to New England. I have always had an interest in colonial and Revolutionary War history. And, I saw Lexington and Concord, walked up Breeds Hill, have been to Philadelphia, the battlefield sites of Virginia, Carolinas, and then got involved in teaching as a career. got a degree in history. Taught at the Colonel Crawford School Systems for 35 years, 7th and 8th grade history.
Okay.
My principal, and then later my superintendent, Ted Bruner, who himself is a member of Doc Schaefer's French Marine Regiment, encouraged me to get involved with reenacting because I did a lot of first-person portrayals in my history classroom. It's been a fascinating trip to this point where now I have maybe 3 or 4 dozen former students involved in reenacting. And regardless of the time period, as a history teacher, you can see that enthusiasm in your students that they're reenacting. You know you've succeeded as a teacher.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay.
So
who do you typically portray when, I know you referenced some different units you were in, but what is the most common portrayal, I guess, do you display for the public as far as the way you're dressed and accoutered typically?
Colonel William Crawford.
Colonel William Crawford.
The Crawford campaign story of 1782 to the people who live in Crawford County, Ohio, Wyandotte County, Ohio, Tuscarawas County, Ohio. Those 3 counties account for the whole story from beginning to end.
I see. Okay, great. Well, what would be your advice if somebody came to a reenactment, living history event, and they wanted to get into it? Well, how should they start? What would be your opinion on that?
Well, I've already had that question asked of me, and my first question to them would be, okay, what time period do you have an interest or passion for? And then I would tell them, go to one of those reenactments, make contact with some reenactors that are portraying a role that you might be interested in, and start asking questions.
Sure.
As a reenactor, you enjoy the opportunity to have the public ask you the questions like a teacher in the classroom. When you say, any questions? And the students sit there. But here at reenactments, the public comes to you. And if they're interested enough, they'll ask you the questions. And then once you make contact with a reenactment organization or regiment or tribe, go to other reenactments involving those groups. They will give you information on outfits, on accoutrements, everything you need to know to put together your kit. It is an expensive hobby, as Ben can tell you that as well, but it's well worth the time and effort. If you have a passion for history, this is an ideal avenue for you to pursue it.
All right. Well, thank you for sitting down and talking with us. We appreciate it. I'm sure the folks at home found that informative and fascinating. And have a good evening, and we'll talk to you later.
Thanks, Ben.
Thank you. All right, so I just partook of the battle on the side of the English, fought as a ranger, and heroically died in the trees after burning through all my ammunition. Unfortunately, I couldn't film it because I was firing my rifle, but we're going to go ahead and call that quits today. Thank you all for tuning in, and we look forward to doing some more videos with you on down the road.